Are you looking for ways to generate more revenue for your brand in 2026 and get a head start on growing this year? Well, you're in the right place because in this video, I'm going to reveal to you a simple yet powerful way that will help you grow that most brands don't think about when they're setting new goals for the new year. And I'm going to do that through sharing a real case study with you from another brand that's actually implemented this. Now, the first thing that we need to do is lay out an important concept that will help us look at our business for what it really is and give you something to identify in terms of growth opportunities within these elements. So let's dive in and talk about what that concept is. So as someone who has built a 8-figure brand before, there's one thing that is very, very obvious to me over the years of being in e-commerce, and that is that most founders and marketers focus on these two concepts, which is basically the front end of their website and brand and the back end. And oftentimes what I see more of is there's more focus put on the front end than there is on the back end. So for example, with our front end, we might be thinking about how do we decrease our acquisition costs with Meta, right? How do we gain more discovery and volume on with TikTok ads, right? Or with Google, how do we increase our organic search volume, but also separate our branded campaigns on Google from our new customer campaigns on Google, right? But we're always focused on this part where our focus is how do we drive our CPA down so that we can spend more to bring in new customers. And so our big focus on the front end here is really new customers. And I still find myself thinking more about new customers than the back end sometimes. So on the back end side of the business, we've obviously got email and SMS, right? We've also got our post-purchase, and we've also got things like our LTV and ultimately trying to optimize each customer to be worth more to the business. But oftentimes we really don't focus enough on this side of the business because everything's all about the front end. Everything's all about dialing in the meta ads, whether it's an agency or partner running your ads for you or an in-house team. It's always about getting better ROAS. It's always about spending more on meta ads. It's always about how do we get new customers for a lower cost, but on the front end. And we're not really thinking as much about the back end. I'm sure that you can agree with this, is that the back end really isn't a massive focus for you as a brand owner. And what I've found over the years is that there's much higher lift on the back end than the front end, especially when you look at things that may be a higher lift or high leverage on your time. Because a lot of times we have to do a lot of things in the front end here. That may also include things like, UGC creators or hiring them or paying them. And that costs a lot of money, right, on the front end. But on the back end, there could be things that we could do with, say, for example, our abandoned carts, because we all know that we can run abandoned cart emails, right? We've got an email sequence set up, but what are we actually doing to capture more information, more information from the customers visiting our website? Because there's a few things that we can do. We could capture identities to then remarket to. So people who may have not opted in with an email or a phone number, we can still retarget these people with ads and they can become more of the front end. And we can also do SMS with abandoned cart as well to help us get a much higher abandoned cart recovery rate on our business. And so if we can do more things on the back end, we can actually help the front end more as well. So let's just kind of like make this real here. I want to give like an example. So there was a brand client that we work with, and this brand was able to generate an extra $22,000 just by doing something on the back end that ultimately raised their entire revenue. Now, this brand, they were doing about $50K per month. So for those of you who are watching, just so you know what the revenue they were doing per month is, $50K per month, and they had 14K subscribers, SMS subscribers. So they had a decent, loyal, good-sized SMS list as well. And the one thing that they had a problem with was their abandoned cart recovery rate. So their abandoned cart recovery rate was pretty low. And what we noticed is that they just had a really bad system for recovering their customers who would add a product to cart and not buy. So we had all these people who were adding the product and interested and not buying. Now, again, like we said, right? It's everyone here watching this video. We all have our abandoned cart set up for email, but nothing for SMS. So what we did is we basically optimized the post-abandonment part of their business. And what ended up happening is within a very short time of just creating a simple SMS abandoned recovery, right? Now, the cool thing about this abandoned cart recovery, and this is something that you could implement too, that would be very, very easy for you to get a lift in revenue, is that it's powered by AI, meaning that there's two-way conversations that can be had with the customer and also your brand without having to have a real person. So this was actually something that was integrated, and we ended up sending out, I think it was like 8,600 conversations on this list. And this wasn't in a very long period of time either. And so these two-way conversations were happening with the customer and with the person who was abandoning cart, and it was being delivered via SMS. And so the advantage between an email and an SMS abandoned cart recovery is SMS is a lot more personal, right? A lot of people are checking their phones more regularly than their email. And so this led to a massive increase in cart recovery and generating them an extra $22K in revenue, all right? And I'm sure that over a year-long period is going to be quite substantial for their business. But the point is that, we look back at where we put our focus as brand owners and marketers is a lot of times it's all here, and we feel pressure, whether it's from members of the team internally, partners, and we just get stuck here about this sexy thing called meta ads and TikTok ads and Google and all this. And the truth is that on the back end is actually where a lot of this can be made up and actually can help us further on the front end when we put our focus here. So this brand specifically, they came out of this having much better relationships with their customers and also just having a bit better of an understanding on, what it is that they're actually doing for their customers so they can personalize this experience a bit more. It's more personalized, and the AI conversation is able to actually recommend or bring up the product that they were looking at the cart and ask them, if they would like a discount, and then answer questions they may have in order to help them basically make the purchase. So out of this, the money that they invested in order to do this was they generated an 8x ROI, and they generated over 500 sales or extra sales through this. And so that is how they generated the extra 22K in sales. So again, if you're looking to implement something that's going to really help you get a huge lift in 2026, this is the way to do it. If you are a brand owner and you are doing over 100K a month, or you're somewhere between 25 to 100K a month, and you're not fully utilizing SMS abandoned cart sequences, then you need to make sure that you go down below in the description and get a free 14-day free trial with TxtCart, get $1,000 of free SMS credits, and it truly is game changing. We've implemented this for our brand, Gamenetics, and we've generated over $70,000 in recovered revenue just by installing it and having this AI two-way conversation happen with our customers and helping them to get discounts and then moving them towards the sale. So if you're wanting to make more money this year, I highly recommend going at least giving it a shot and just seeing how much money you can make with that 14-day free trial, because that's how we made our first few $1,000s just implementing it with only like 3,000 subscribers on our SMS list. And I know that can do the same for you. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Make sure you check out this video next, and I'll see you in the next one.